Rock and metal invasion. Rock and metal invasion. Rock and metal invasion. Rock and metal invasion.
Hi, welcome to Rock and Metal Invasion. My name is Steve. Coming up on the show today, I'm doing Don't Call It Dad Rock. Now, from the title, you might think, I don't like the term dad rock. But actually, it's more a question of what is dad rock? Do I like dad rock? And I'm wondering, is hair metal dad rock? So, in some ways, the title of the show actually links to a book I've got by Sean Kelly called Don't Call It Hair Metal. Great book. He is, of course, not only an author, but also known as the guitarist for Coney Hatch, Lee Aaron, and many others. Worth checking out. But this isn't about that book, and it really isn't about hair metal. It's about dad rock. And, I've got a few questions about it. My number one question about dad rock: do you actually have to be a dad? Now, I'm thinking no, you don't have to be a dad. I think you can like dad rock and not be a dad. Now, for me, I am a dad. So if you did need to be a dad, I qualify. But, from what I've seen, I think there could be some links between dad rock and hair metal. And I like hair metal. And I think a little bit like hair metal, dad rock initially was used in a negative way. Because hair metal initially as a term was not used in a positive way. But, it's interesting how over time, sometimes when we use these terms, they change and actually become these almost like these terms of endearment, these positive ways of describing music and music that we maybe like. So, because from what I can see, hair metal these days, when people say hair metal, they're kind of just using it in a positive way, or at least in a way that lets people know the type of music they're talking about. Of course, in the past, it was used to make a joke of or put down 80s hard rock, heavy metal bands. So, what about dad rock? Is that negative? Because I think it probably was initially, but is it negative now? Or is it becoming more acceptable? Which I guess is where the title of my show comes from. Is it okay to call it dad rock? Kind of reminds me a little bit of yacht rock, because I think initially yacht rock, while perhaps wasn't used negatively initially, I don't really know. And I think these days, there are many people who will quite proudly say that they like yacht rock. I even heard Zakk Wylde on Billy Corgan's show, The Magnificent Others. He was recently on the show, did a great interview, and he actually said, I don't know if he was joking or not, I don't think he was, that he's a fan of yacht rock. Now, so, people happy to be fans of yacht rock. What about the bands? What about the bands that get associated with yacht rock or with hair metal or with dad rock? Do they actually, want to be associated with this type of music? I think when it comes to hair metal, I think especially these days, a lot of those bands are like, hey, I don't care what you call it whatever you like. Yacht rock, I'm not so sure about. I saw a recent documentary on yacht rock. It's pretty good, pretty interesting. But I got the impression maybe there are some guys or some bands who have been put in the yacht rock category and they're not really very happy about it. Maybe they're taking it a little bit too seriously. And, I think being put into a category of dad rock or hair metal or yacht rock can actually have some advantages. Because, once this is created, you can almost create a scene. You can create some fans that may not have embraced your band if they hadn't known about this type of music, this scene. It might be new to them. And then there's all these other bands that branch off from this initial band or this initial, category of music that people are using, and it can become nostalgic. So there can be almost like a rebirth of all the bands that fit this particular uh, musical category. I'm not going to necessarily call it a genre because, as I've sort of said before on my channel, I don't really consider hair metal a genre of music, but it definitely is a category of music. And when you say it, people know what bands you are talking about. They know, oh, hair metal, I know what you're talking about. And I think it's kind of the same for yacht rock. You say yacht rock, people that know about it know what you're talking about. And they know the kind of bands that fit that category and the type of music that it is. So maybe it can be a good thing. But what about dad rock? Is that good for bands? For bands to be associated with dad rock? What's interesting is I was actually in a music shop the other day. It's a local music shop. I mean, fairly local. It's a bit of a trip for me, but still in the Wellington area, called Creeps. Shout out to Creeps. Good record shop. And they sell record CDs, cassettes. They're quite retro. They've got new stuff, but a lot of secondhand stuff. And I've always enjoyed having a look in there. But one of the first times I was in there, and I haven't been that many times, but one of the first times I was in there, I was looking through their heavy metal section. And, I accept the fact that, in some record shops, the heavy metal section is also going to include a lot of hard rock bands as well. You kind of accept that. You usually don't bother with the hard rock sections, So, in the heavy metal section, you're going to find a whole wide variety of different bands. You might find some Night Ranger, Y&T, but also you got your Slayers and Napalm Death, Anthrax, So it's a real mix of different hard rock and heavy metal bands, and that's cool, But it Creeps, when I was going through their metal section, I was thinking, wow, it's some pretty hardcore metal in here, It's like I wasn't finding a lot of the hard rock bands. It was pretty much just, without a doubt, these are heavy metal, definitely heavy bands, thrash, death, that sort of stuff. So I couldn't find a lot of the hard rock bands that, I'll be honest with you, it's often the type of music that I enjoy finding when I go to music shops. Anyway, so after going through the metal section, I was continuing to look around, because I still look around at other sections as well, just out of interest. You never know, I might find something. And sometimes things get put in the wrong place, Anyway, I was having a look around, and I found this other category, and that category was dad rock. And it wasn't like a small category. They had quite a good chunk of records in there. So I was like, okay, I'll have a look. So I start flipping through. And first I see Twisted Sister, then Bon Jovi, then Night Ranger, Y&T, Queen. I'm like, hold on. This is like my section, pretty much. Everything in it was like, sure, I might already have it, but I'm interested in these bands. It was pretty much like all my favorite music in one category, but they'd called it the dad rock category. I wasn't sure I was that happy about, my favorite category in the shop being the dad rock category. And I mean, I probably wouldn't mind so much if it was like, okay, hey, this is really old music now. It's not worth much. Okay, well, that's great for me because I won't have to spend a lot of money. But it's not. I mean, it's still like priced as though it's got some value, which is fair enough because it does. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. I don't know if there's many other music shops that use dad rock as a category. And I know that this record shop in particular has a bit of a sense of humor. But I'd be interested to know if anyone's been to other music shops, record shops, and found a dad rock category. Because here's the thing. Anything that starts with dad as a category hasn't always been particularly positive. Like, for example, the dad bod. You're just like a little bit overweight and you're a dad. You've got it like a dad bod. It's not really a good thing. You don't really want a dad bod. And then there's the dad jokes. I mean, they're not quite so bad. Some people actually like dad jokes. But again, they're probably not considered great jokes. So, when it comes to dad rock, is this a good thing? Is it okay? Should I be proudly saying, I like dad rock? Well, I think one of the problems is, what is dad rock? That's what I'm still trying to work out. I mean, the record shop that put what it put in the dad rock category, I liked, but are they knowledgeable enough about what dad rock is? Is what the bands that they had in there, is that what dad rock is? Because I'm seeing different bands when I'm doing my own research about what dad rock is. So is dad rock just something that appeals to older guys who may or may not be dads? Or does it have to be something from the past that today's dads listened to when they were a teenager? I don't really know. I do know that this is probably, Rock and Metal Invasion is probably a dad channel. I mean, I've only got to just look at the analytics. It's pretty much 100% males 45 to 54. Ladies, where are you? And the thing with dad rock, from what I can see, it crosses many genres. Yeah, it's rock. It's in the rock category, but lots of subgenres of rock. You've got different types. Like you got your Queen, but then you can have Led Zeppelin, you can have Poison. You can even have newer bands like Avenged Sevenfold. I saw online recently there was something they called March Dadness. It was a March Dadness tournament. And basically it was a matchup between all these different bands that were considered dad rock. And believe it or not, the band that won it, and I was even surprised that they were even considered dad rock, but the band that won it was Metallica. They were crowned best dad rock band of all time. Metallica. Kind of surprised me. And who did they beat in the final? Nirvana. So, hey, maybe Nirvana's not grunge. It's dad rock. At least now it is. Metallica's not thrash. It's dad rock. Yeah. Well, I mean, of course, that's not true. And I don't think that would be the best way to describe that music. But it's got old enough now that potentially it is in the dad rock category. And I have the feeling dad rock is always going to be something that that people might use from time to time. But I don't see it taking off, and I don't see it becoming a term that will be used to categorize music. At least, in a way like yacht rock or hair metal is used, that people understand as a way of describing the type of music you are talking about. Because there's too many bands that can potentially fit into that category. And yeah, a lot of the bands I talk about on my channel could definitely be called dad rock. But don't worry, I will not be changing the name of my channel to Dad Rock Invasion. All right, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you later.